Today we are deleting the Colosseum, the world's most recognizable ruin. We see it in every epic movie. We dream of walking its blood-soaked sand, and it has stood as the ultimate symbol of imperial power for nearly 2,000 years. But what if, in a single heartbeat, the Colosseum simply vanished? In this video, we are going to dismantle the world's first superstructure and watch as the blueprint for the modern skyscraper dissolves into dust. We'll discover how erasing this site wipes out the chemical secret to the concrete that holds our modern cities together. We'll pull the plug on the world's first mechanical backstage, the engine that paved the way for the elevator. We'll look at the stadium as the original modern temple, and how the superstar athlete might never have existed. And finally, we'll witness how the disappearance of this arena would have gutted the symbolic rise of one of history's most influential faiths. If we delete the arena, the modern world doesn't just change, it breaks. This is world erased. Let's start with one of the biggest inventions that humans have ever created, something we use in our everyday lives. To build the Colosseum, Rome didn't just need a design, they needed a miracle material. This was the massive-scale debut of opus cementitium, Roman concrete. The Colosseum was the ultimate stress test for a mix of volcanic ash, pozzolana, lime, and seawater. This wasn't just any stone, it was a chemical reaction that grew stronger over time, especially when exposed to moisture. If we erase the arena, we erase the proof of concept that concrete could hold up the weight of the world. For nearly 1,500 years after the fall of Rome, the recipe for this concrete was lost to history. But the Colosseum remained, standing as a silent, indestructible tutor for Renaissance engineers who sought to rediscover it. Without the Colosseum serving as a permanent laboratory of durability, the Industrial Revolution might have been built on brittle brick and rot-prone wood. The concrete jungles of New York, Tokyo, and Dubai, they don't exist. Our dams, our seawalls, and the very foundations of your home are echoes of the chemical reaction first mastered to hold 80,000 Romans above a basement full of lions. If we delete the arena, we delete the literal foundation of the modern built environment. But a building is only as powerful as the people inside it. To understand why Rome spent so much on this stone, we have to look at the dark art of keeping a civilization from tearing itself apart. The Colosseum was more than architecture. It was the ultimate tool of social engineering. The Roman phrase panem et circenses, bread and circuses, was perfected here. By providing free food and brutal entertainment, the emperor kept the restless masses pacified. The Colosseum was the world's first algorithm. It knew exactly what the people wanted: violence, spectacle, and a sense of belonging, and it fed it to them to keep them from looking at the corruption in the Senate. It taught rulers that awe could be more powerful than true freedom. Without this monumental example, the blueprint for controlling populations through mass spectacle might never have been so clearly laid out. The power dynamic between ruler and ruled, and the subtle art of political pacification through distraction, would have evolved very differently. Modern political rallies, massive media distractions, and even the way governments use sports to boost national morale, all of it is a play pulled directly from the Flavian Handbook. However, to house that many people in the center of a crowded city, you can't build wide, you have to build up. And in doing so, the Romans gave us the blueprint for the modern skyline. The Colosseum, towering nearly 160 feet, was an engineering marvel built in just 8 years. But it wasn't just its size, it was the audacious leap in engineering logic. Before the Flavian amphitheater, buildings were heavy, grounded, and limited by the weight of their own materials. The Colosseum introduced the world to the skeleton of the arch. By stacking tiers of arches, the Romans created a cellular structure that distributed weight outward rather than just downward. This was the birth of the superstructure. Without the Colosseum, the Romans would not have pushed the boundaries of arch technology to this scale. This isn't just about one building. It's about the very concept of verticality. No Colosseum means no grand template for multi-story, high-capacity buildings. Our urban landscapes, our ability to house millions, our mastery of building up, it all stems from the ambition first realized here. Without it, the vertical city might have remained a distant dream. Now let's talk about the people. Up to 80,000 screaming Romans, all entering, finding their seats and exiting efficiently in under 15 minutes. How? Through a brilliant, almost invisible system that still dictates how we gather today. The Colosseum perfected crowd control. It used a system of numbered tickets, tesserae, and matching gate numbers. It used designated seating by social status, keeping a volatile population stratified and orderly, even in a state of high emotional frenzy. But the real genius was the network of vomitoria, not for sickness, but for streaming the crowd out through vaulted corridors. Without the Colosseum, the very idea of safely managing tens of thousands of people in a single space would be radically different. Modern stadiums, concert halls, and airports all owe a debt to this Roman understanding of human flow. Without this template, every major public gathering today would be a potential disaster. While the crowds were moving above, there was a hidden, high-tech underworld operating in the dark, an engine of pulleys and wood that would eventually lead us to the clouds. Below the sand of the arena lay the Hypogeum, a two-level subterranean network of tunnels and cages. This was the backstage of the ancient world, featuring over 60 elevators and trapdoors powered by complex pulleys and human labor. This was the first time in history that technology was used to create special effects on a massive scale. Lions wouldn't just walk into the arena, they would materialize from the ground. This mastery of elevators and mechanical lifts is the direct ancestor of the modern skyscraper's elevator bank. Without the need to move massive weight vertically and quickly for the entertainment of the masses, the development of the pulley and winch systems that built the modern world would have been delayed by centuries. We take the elevator for granted, but the Colosseum taught us that a building isn't just a shell, it's a machine. As much as technology and logistics are impressive, the Colosseum's true power was emotional. From ancient Rome to the Super Bowl and the World Cup, the Colosseum gave us the idea of the stadium as a modern temple. It was a place where collective emotion was forged, where society gathered to witness shared rituals that defined their identity. The gladiatorial games and mock naval battles were the original high-stakes dramas. They taught us how to package and consume spectacle. Without the Colosseum, would we have ever developed the societal need for these massive communal spaces? The entire industry of mass entertainment, built around the physical convergence of an audience, stands on the foundations of this one amphitheater. And inside this temple, we didn't just find entertainment, we found heroes. If we remove the stage, what happens to the performers? While the chariot racers of the Circus Maximus made more money, the gladiators of the Colosseum created the mythology of the superstar. The Colosseum was the birthplace of the athletic idol, a hero elevated above the common man, performing extraordinary feats for the masses. These men were celebrities. They had endorsement deals, their fans wore their colors, and Roman children played with clay gladiator action figures. Without the Colosseum to elevate these figures into legends, our fascination with elite individual performance might never have taken the same path. The very notion of an individual becoming a global icon through physical performance, the human brand, might simply vanish. No arena means no Jordan, no Ronaldo, and no cult of the athlete. Finally, we must consider the soul of the building. For centuries, the Colosseum was seen as a site of Christian martyrdom. Whether or not thousands of Christians were actually fed to lions there is historically debated. But the belief that they were is what saved the building from being completely dismantled in the Middle Ages. If the Colosseum vanishes, the rise of one of history's most influential faiths loses one of its most powerful symbols of endurance and sacrifice. The iconography of the church, which used the ruins of the Colosseum to symbolize the victory of the cross over pagan brutality, would be hollow. Without the Colosseum, the very visual narrative of the Western world's transition from empire to church would be rewritten. From the concrete that holds our cities together to the organized chaos of our biggest events and the mechanical lifts that allow us to touch the sky, so many pillars of our modern world find their forgotten foundation in the Colosseum. If we delete this ancient arena, the modern world doesn't just change, it breaks. We are left with a flatter, quieter, and far more disconnected world. What should we erase next? The Great Library of Alexandria, where the knowledge of the ancient world burned? Or perhaps the Panama Canal, the modern artery that forced the oceans to meet? Let me know in the comments, and let's keep dismantling the world.